Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. In the comics, TV, and movies, we will go from Earth 616 to the Mojoverse to the TVA in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm the friendly neighborhood Brent.
And I'm the nerd with the mouth, David.
Alliance Assemble, Volume 228. Sorry for the chuckle in the beginning. Brent was still having a hot mic at that point when he was reading one of the line items for the story, and I couldn't help myself.
I'm just going to be honest. I had only glanced at the show notes. I'm normally much more prepared. I've had a week. I wasn't sure. In fact, I wasn't sure I was going to be here. That is why David is gracing us with his presence. I decided about 8 minutes ago, I think, 8 to 10 minutes ago, I was going to make it. And I was just reading through the show notes what we had to talk about tonight. And I saw one thing, and I'm like, oh, gosh, all right. We'll talk about it.
And there is a reason it's in there, because it's just someone decided that they're just going full out with information, so... Yeah. But anyways, how are we all doing this week? You know, Brent basically shared. Brent has, as he said, he's had a week, so
there was one piece of stellar news this week. I'm just going to say it right here.
Okay.
Absolutely stellar news. Marvel has finally remembered that they own the license to all of cross-gen comic books.
We're going to have to do a double post-credits, because I did promise if Brent did make it tonight, he could talk.
It's okay. I can just mention it right now.
Okay, talk about it now.
Mystic from cross-gen comics, all 42, 43 issues of it is on there. Is on Marvel Unlimited, the whole thing. I've started rereading it. I don't know, 6 issues in, I think. You've heard me say it before. I love the entire universe. Is every single book perfect? No. Was every single book better than just about anything DC and Marvel put out at the time? In my opinion, yeah, pretty much. And so I have very fond memories of it. And I was just doing what I do every Monday, looking to see what came out. I'm like, oh, this came out, I'll add it to my list. That came out, I don't care about it. Holy crap, that's Mystic. Had no idea it was coming. And neither did Ron Mars, clearly, because I tagged him in a tweet, and he asked about Sigil. Nah, just a little remake thing they did like 13 years ago, and that doesn't count.
Yeah, I will basically tell you all listeners right now, I know I will let you know now, Comic Book Club is taking a week break because Brent was really not ready.
I have done the reading.
I have not, because I was under the impression he was not, so I did not do the reading, so this is my fault this week. We will be back to it next week. I know we were planning on starting it this week, but I didn't. I figured Brent was actually going to rest tonight.
I did it before.
I started reading because it was still in the show notes.
Okay, so the consistent host of this thing totally failed, and... Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Way to throw me under the bus.
Let me go ahead and start reading.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll do it.
Where I was getting to with this is that next time it is our pick for Comic Book Club, and I'll just say it right now, Brent, we will be doing, Mystic.
That's fine. I will reread
because I've never read it. I have read no cross-gen, and I know how excited Brent was with this news. So I said, you know what? Let's do it as our pick.
The first arc is basically 6 issues, and I will happily reread them when that time comes. But I will be well past that point on this current read. I've been waiting for a high-quality digital copy, and before the one person who knows, yes, I know they had them on CDs or something you could buy back in the day. I never bought those because I wasn't going to read comic books off a CD on my computer, on my crappy CRT computer in college. So, but doesn't matter. Now I can read them on my iPad. Like a civilized person.
Yeah, Fifth of Jack. Yeah, Chris failed at doing the starting comic book club this week, Young Avengers. So we'll do that next week. But
how are you guys?
I've had it has been a very busy week, so I'm very tired. But not tired enough to do the news. But it's been very busy. But it progressively each day has gotten a little bit better. So
good.
How about you, David?
It's been the same for me. Super busy. 3 out of the 4 days this week, I have left work and I've gotten a call before I've gotten home that I need to go back to work. So it has been a very, very busy day, including today, which I got a call, go back to work. And then I got a call 10 minutes later, don't go back to work. So It's just like I'm charging you guys for gas mileage regardless.
It's a real roller coaster there.
The struggle is hard. The struggle is real. So, but yeah, we took last week off as typical with Marvel Studios, and the whole industry seems to go dark during holiday weeks. So it's been kind of typical for this year for us. But we take 1 week off, we get rewarded with a bunch of news. So we've got a lot to talk about and a trailer of a movie that we will all see.
Yeah.
But so let's get through the network plugs. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with 7 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule, check out the show notes below and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUAPod Network so you know when all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, so if we want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers. We've got our dollar tiers, our tip jar to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job? And then we've got our $5 tier with our ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive shows, including our one of our shows. We can watch this all day, the Marvel Alliance Infinity Saga rewatch. We've got 24 episodes covering the entirety of the Infinity Saga, and we are currently on our show Tales from the House of X, where we are watching all our favorite movies from the favorite X-Men movies from the Fox era. We have done 5 episodes. We've gone Deadpool, Deadpool 2, The Wolverine, Logan, X-Men, and next week, Brent and I will be recording the follow-up to X-Men. And what is that very, very long and illustrious title, Brent?
I mean, I don't know how long it is, but it's X2 X-Men United. Though on Disney Plus, it just says X2.
Yes, where they should have left it.
Yeah, no joke.
So, but yeah, we will record that on next Monday, and it'll drop on the last Monday of the month. So be on the lookout for that, patrons. We also have the DC Alliance boys doing their DC films through the years, and Joe with his Multiverse Minutes, Disney Dives on the 1st and the 15th, looking at in the chronological order all the Disney theatrical animated movies. God love him for doing that, but he does a very good job breaking down all of it, watching it all, and looking at all the interesting backstories behind those films. A lot of lovely back content as well. We want to thank our patrons. We can't do this without your support. But if you want to join our Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/GUA Network so you can get all that lovely content. But if you want to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts, take 30 to 90 seconds, subscribe to the Marvel Alliance solo feed, and you can give us that 5-star review. And last, but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it going on with excellent customer service, immaculate packaging shipped around the world. These lovely hardcovers, omnis, collected editions are there for your perusing, including if you want the collected edition for, it's not here, but, you can look up a couple of those cross-gens. They definitely have physical copies of that. That's Brent right. Will get it gives you, Brent will approve you getting that in physical form.
I mean, every time you buy it, an angel gets his wings, so.
That's true. So use that code MarvelGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order. We want to thank them for being our official sponsor. Brent with all the zingers tonight. So, all right, I'm gonna, since Brent is here, and I'm gonna let Brent kind of lead this one off, since we all love Spider-Man here, but Brent has been patiently waiting for some sort of positive thing that a tier kind of trade can give us some confidence in of what is going on with Spider-Man 4. Brent, tell us what is going on.
Well, we had a pretty big update this week. When was this? Monday, Tuesday? I don't know. It was earlier in the week, and the Hollywood Reporter, I believe, had the exclusive. Destin Daniel Cretton according to this, is in talks to direct Spider-Man 4, which means likely has already signed the deal, because typically this kind of news is behind the real life. This is mixed news for me. The Spider-Man fan, looking at just Spider-Man and nothing else, I love this. I think it's absolutely stellar. That the action that him and his team put together in Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings is unlike anything else in the MCU. And the thought of taking the people who did that and applying it to Spider-Man with his abilities, I mean, that just borderline makes me giddy. I'm excited at the prospects of what we might be able to see that. the side of me that's mixed on it, though, is the part of me that adored Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and I want to see more of it. And so, like, I don't see how that movie isn't delayed further, and at least as delayed as it can be when there's no official release date. But we know they're working on it. So, behind the scenes, that movie has been pushed back. It's already been, 3 years, right? It was 2021, I think.
Yeah, what about that? What about that 10 Ring show we were supposed to get too?
Yeah, right. The 10 Ring show we're supposed to get, and we are getting a show from Destin, Cretton, but it's Wonder Man. It's not the 10 Rings. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited to see what he's doing there. But if you look at that, Marvel must really like this guy. Shang-Chi, now Spider-Man, the Wonder Man show, and he was gonna do Kang Dynasty. Mm-hmm. They must really like that guy. And that's fine. I like his work too. I really am excited for this. I wish there was a world in which we could get both Spider-Man 4 and Shang-Chi 2 in reasonable timeframes, but it hasn't happened. And it's worth noting from a business perspective, at least on No Way Home, Marvel got something like 25 to 30%, 25 to a third of the box office. That's more than Shang-Chi, right? That's more than Shang-Chi. So from a business perspective, it is the right move.
It is the right move, but I want to hear your thoughts. But I do want to respond to what Brent's saying. But it's also comparing apples to oranges. Spider-Man in the sense of the established property of who Spider-Man is, what it represents, versus a new character to the MCU, new IP, not necessarily. Shang-Chi's been around in the comics forever, but like new to the MCU. It's hard to kind of, yes, you're right. Businessly, yeah, that's the established one. There is potential there with Shang-Chi, though. So, you're muted.
Still muted. But while Brent figures that out, Dave, what are your thoughts? I'm excited to have someone who, in my opinion, has had a proven track record with Marvel take the helm of Marvel 4 or Spider-Man 4. And I agree with you where it's not an apples comparison because Spider-Man is a universal character. You can go to almost any country, show a picture of Spider-Man, and he is someone that both children and adults will recognize. So when you come to the financial aspect of that, yes, it's always going to bring in more money than a Shang-Chi or something like that. I do hope they still continue down that road with Shang-Chi. I enjoyed the movie. I thought that there's more that they can do in that universe. So I do hope that is not completely off the table, even though it seems to be shelved indefinitely. But I am excited that there is movement on Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, the other thing that was kind of buried in this as well is that Chris McKenna and Eric Summers are back on script writing duties. They're the ones who have penned the entire Homecoming trilogy, as it were. So, I mean, again, every one of those movies has been a success. So, stick with the one that brought you. But it also goes back to what Bob Iger had said when not only just saying stick with established properties, stick with the people who have given you the positive box office, the positive records in that sense. I don't see Marvel completely not giving chances to maybe some different directors, but I don't see them, I think it's going to depend too. I think Thunderbolts, I think, this is their first time going to be directing this type of level of project. I think Brent's looking that up for me, but I'm almost pretty confident on that one.
Yeah, I believe you're correct on that.
Okay. So if it ends up being a hit, yeah, then, but I think they're going to be cautious with that as well. Even with, he is still attached to the sequel to Shang-Chi, but it's never been officially on the slate. We've assumed it was coming. We've been told about a 10 Ring show. Neither one has really been officially put on the docket. Now, I could see them, and I know some other people have said this as well, including our brothers over at Geekverse, and they are right in this, and I think it's an interesting perspective of doing kind of what they did with Doctor Strange and start putting Shang-Chi into some of the, upcoming crossover movies, the next Avengers movie, before we get another Shang-Chi. Disappointing in the way that I would love another sequel leading up to it, there's still time to do it, but I think to have Cretton directing it, I think if they still wanted to do one within this current saga, I think he's relegated to an executive producer role, and someone else is going to have to step in if they want that to happen. What do y'all think about that?
One, just doing that in general is a good move. Movies after the team ups have had a good bump in their box office. Doctor Strange had a big bump in its box office. Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, over their previous ones after the Avengers came out, massive bumps in their respective box offices. It's a good move if they do that. That said, I kind of wonder. I don't know if Shang-Chi himself is big enough to fulfill that, but every Marvel character or every Spider-Man has had a Marvel MCU person in it, a character in it, right? Mm-hmm. Be that Tony Stark or Samuel L. Jackson or Robert Downey Jr., Samuel L. Jackson, or, well, I mean, obviously Benedict Cumberbatch and then multiple other Spider-Men. But I wonder, maybe Simu Liu could be in Spider-Man 4. Maybe we could get a little Spider-Fu action going on where, he taught Spider-Man Kung Fu in the
Did
comic
you just
books.
create your own hashtag there?
No, that's a thing. It's a thing. Read Spider Island. It's a thing.
No, I know, but I was just like saying, I think, the MCU could kind of take that as well. You're right, Spider-Fu,
Sure.
I remember.
I'm not saying they should do Spider Island necessarily, though that'd be interesting, but
That would be.
That feels like it'd be a lot for a movie. But regardless, I wouldn't mind seeing him. Of course, we all know who I really want. What street level character I want to see more than anybody teamed up with Spider-Man. Sure, obviously Jackpot. But what you could do is pretty easily have a scenario where you have both Shang-Chi and Jackpot teaming up with Spider-Man, and you could do that. And so sign me up for that.
I think that in the absence of having someone like Iron Fist available, then Shang-Chi is the perfect choice if you're going street level to have somebody who could interact with Spider-Man on that level. And I think that their characters and just their personalities of the two actors would have great chemistry in that street level role. So I'm all for it. Like, give them an opportunity to have that team up. And then it also gives kind of the casual audience a reminder of this character before you bring them back in a bigger stage.
Yeah. And again, it's hard to also, in the sense of when Shang-Chi came out box office wise, we were still in a hybrid kind of atmosphere, and it did very well for what it was and through Labor Day weekend. It definitely broke expectations with it. So it'd be very interesting to see in a post environment where theater issues is not necessarily, is it still going to hit at that point? I still think there's enough room to do a proper sequel solo project at that point. The question is, if Cretton really wants it, then we're looking at a delay probably post Multiverse Saga.
Yes, I would agree with that. I don't see how it possibly happens before Secret Wars, unless Secret Wars gets a good hefty delay.
Yeah. So we will see. Again, he is in early talks with it, but the fact that the Hollywood Reporter broke this story means that those early talks probably are going very well according to their sources. So we'll see. But again, to follow up on their previous director with this, that's on paper. That's a big win for them, especially with bringing back the writing team.
And even if they were going to do a Shang-Chi 2 after that, that presumes that logically Spider-Man 5 isn't directed by him as well. And to date, they've had the same director for the different series of Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
And so I don't even necessarily think this is his only maybe it is, but I'm inclined to think it's not his only Spider-Man movie, unless this movie somehow bombs or he just has a horrific experience. But he knows what he's getting into working with Marvel, so I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, so, well, we will wait and see exactly on what happened, but we're very happy to see some sort of traction on Spider-Man 4 besides the rumor mill of all over the place. And we'll get into that rumor mill of what's going to be happening, because it's going to tie into this next story we're going to be looking at. But before we do that, we're going to take our first ad break of the evening. Listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud, so give it that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right, gentlemen, the final trailer of Venom: The Last Dance, the Last Dance trailer. You know. All right, I'll I will have to say, out of all the Sony movies this year, if I had to put a level of excitement, just saying like what I have more higher expectations for, and we're gonna put higher in quotes, it's this one. You know,
Sure. I mean,
By a mile.
yeah.
by a mile,
I mean,
far and away.
I'll put, for me, the Marvel movie coming up that I want to see the most to Deadpool and Wolverine on Disney Plus. But sure, we can go with this.
Yeah. All right, so I pulled up the trailer of Venom: The Last Dance. It won't be any sound, but we'll be kind of going through it. So here we go, gentlemen. So we left off, I think, with this in the last trailer, the plane fight, where Eddie is holding on for dear life with Venom. And I love the line, "How does Tom Cruise do this?" Winking at the people and aliens causing chaos on it. Now I'm just gonna say, physics-wise, I'm a little, I'm not trying to say scientifically, but there's a lot of problems I already have just on I'm just really suspending the imagination on this one, where that big alien creature is doing it, not really doing too much damage to that plane. Gotta be key, in association with Marvel.
Very big distinction.
Yes. What was that line in a very Deadpool that Fred Savage said? You're like Marvel,
Marvel adjacent.
but Marvel adjacent. But it sucks.
Gosh, what was it? It's like if the Beatles were produced by Nickelback. It's
yeah.
music, but it sucks.
It sucks. Yeah. I wouldn't go that far with it, but it's teetering these days. All right, his home has found us, and so we finally get our kind of big confirmation of who is it. We've heard rumors, and we have our confirmation that it is Null is going to be in this movie. We'll get it that. So now we can finally talk about it. Null is in this movie. How do y'all feel about this? Did you feel that this was basically at the end of the last movie? Were we leading to this? Are you happy? I don't know. What are your thoughts on just knowing that officially Null is the main antagonist in this movie?
I mean, it's fine, and apparently it's Norman Reedus playing him, right?
No, that was
Or is
is
that
it?
just? Well, I don't know.
That's
I saw multiple different.
Last thing that I saw
things
was
about it,
him
but-
doing the voice.
Oh, was it
doing
the voice? Okay,
so I
gotcha.
think that's interesting.
All right.
But regardless, maybe I'm wrong about that. I kind of would have liked to have seen Venom go up against some non-symbiote enemies. Like this Venom, like it was Riot, it was Carnage, and then Null. And I'm like, I would have liked to have seen him go up against something that didn't look just like him. And sure, Null looks a little different, but he's surrounded by a bunch of symbiotes that are basically, they look like a bunch of other Venoms. So it's fine. It's just visually, I would have liked to have seen them go a little bit different way before breaking out Null. Now that said, if this truly is like Tom Hardy's last solo movie as Venom, because I think he's going to show up in Secret Wars personally. But if this truly is, then maybe that's just kind of one of those, well, don't leave anything on the table. If you want to do it, now's your chance moments.
Yeah, it's. I saw comments and things like Null is Thanos level.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I mean, again, in the sense of, like, I wouldn't say history-wise Thanos level. It's been more of a recent thing, and again, Null no longer exists at that point because he was, spoiler alert, defeated.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, the power level of it, yes, it has the potential of this. It was just, it's a big ramp up to where we've gone in this franchise. You know, we won't. It just all of a sudden we're all of a sudden jumping to this. The lead up to it, I don't think it has been earned. You know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Again, if this is the last hurrah, then I could see you doing it, but I don't feel like it's been built up too properly. And I agree with Brent. Like, it's symbiote after symbiote after symbiote after symbiote, and in the comics and in other adaptations, like there is way more nuance to the character that you are just leaving on the table for a couple of jokes, some violence, and a battle against a symbiote. Like,
and even with that too, like they'll put a little bit of history on it. I'm not expecting them to do like the whole King in Black like lead up that Donny Cates started to get to the Null character and to kind of really establish in the lore behind it. But it that's just not what the Sony version of Venom has never been and never will be, and that's fine. Again, these movies have been fun, not the fun necessarily. I would say I want to see more of it, but we've seen this year a lot worse.
Yes.
So all right, let's
was
continue.
that this
on.
year? That was this
I know.
year.
Yes, it was.
Oh my gosh.
We know what's number one on our rankings at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was interesting though. Like, Dr. Payne saying the symbiotes didn't come here by accident; they were hiding. That's interesting. They were running away.
Sure.
That was kind of intriguing to me that they were hiding out on Earth.
So the question is, were they hiding from Null? Or are they hiding from something else? Like I presume Null, but I don't know. I mean, most symbiotes have been depicted as being part of his hive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is the part that kind of got to me. Was my history of the symbiotes is everyone has been a part of the hive except for Venom. He's the one who kind of broke off, and in
he's
reality,
the runt.
We've been thinking he's this big bad, and they're like, no, you're the weakling of the group. So to hear that all these other symbiotes that we've seen so far have been hiding, it's kind of like, okay, are you really trying to position Null as this super big bad, or where are you going with this?
Yeah, and even in the comics, like Donny Cates ended an amazing run with it at that point, and Brent knows this, and I think I said this on air. I just haven't been very thrilled with the continuation post Donny Cates' run. I love Al Ewing, and what him and Ron B has done, but on other stuff. But what they've done with Venom has not been my tempo, and they're currently on a thing called Venom War, where there's trying to stop two people on two sides of not just controlling Venom, but have ideas of what the future is going to be, and now fighting each other. It's like, it's getting a little too complicated right now.
I will say, like, this current Venom run, which I haven't read Venom War yet, but have I read Venom War?
No, you haven't.
I don't know. Am I there yet?
You might have seen a prelude to it, but yeah.
Does Venom War tie into the Carnage comic?
It will, yeah, it will.
No, it's okay. Then I've read it.
Okay.
I am enjoying the story, but when it's done, I'm not going to be upset, and I'm kind of ready for a more back to basics Venom.
I think that what they've tried to do is double down on what Cates started, and it's just gotten a little messy.
And I will say the current Carnage title was surprisingly good.
That is good.
Yes.
I will agree with you on that.
That did some things with Cletus Cassidy that I haven't read about Cletus Cassidy in a while, so I kind of had to catch myself up. But I was quite intrigued by that.
For what was a one-note character, yeah, they've definitely given some depth. So we're hashing the love between the two characters, but I love it. But we're screwed. Yeah, you definitely are. If you stay together, we all die. I'll say I'm very excited to see Venom Horse.
I mean, it looks cool. Visually, It looks cool. You got it, credit where it's due. They did a cool job with that.
They did. Chomping at the head, yeah. The thing was, like, here, they say we're bad people. This version of Eddie Brock is not the anti-hero. Venom is an anti-hero, but it's never have come off like a true. He's kind of like a goofball that just has to do bad things in order to survive. Like it's not your true kind of definition of an anti-hero. You know?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean,
Yeah,
they've got elements, but he's not all the way there.
And he's never been a
his is
bad.
more-
Eddie's never been. He was started off as a real bad guy. Eddie Brock. He's never been this in this movie.
Yeah. Now, this version of Eddie Brock has been more along the lines of, I don't want to do these things, but the symbiote's attached to me and it's doing these things, and he's the one going, sorry for what my friend just did.
like a turd in the wind. So there we go, the line where you have to make a sacrifice. So the question is Eddie gonna die or is Venom gonna die? I don't think either are going to die.
That's the answer. You just did the answer.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you to the end. The hashtag family.
I'm just glad he didn't say I'm with you till the end of the line. That would have been unacceptable for me.
All right, so we're doing a lot with this Vegas sequence. I'm wondering how long we're in Vegas because they did a lot of shots in this trailer of Vegas.
I won't lie. This gag at the end, it got a chuckle out of me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It got a chuckle out of me of Venom discovering gambling.
I have not bought my tickets yet, but probably will in the next couple of days.
Are they on sale?
Yes.
Okay, I missed that.
I'm pretty confident they're on sale. With the final trailer, they usually end up doing that.
I don't even know when. Is it October that it comes out?
Yeah, October 25th.
Oh man, I gotta look at that then.
We are such good hosts tonight.
I've been distracted.
I know. So, in the end, when it comes to what has been like, Madam Web's the bottom for us. Craven to be determined. How far in the bottom is it going to overtake Madam Web? Right now, if I were to guess, no, it's going to be just above Madam Web, and Venom's going to be on top. But that's just me spitballing, and I will be very surprised if I'm too far off on that.
Tickets are not available at my AMC yet.
Okay, so it's not available. That's well, there you go, Sony. Way to be Sony and not do what everyone else does. Well, I guess you don't want my money. Guess it's going to Joker next week. Not for you, Brent, I know.
Is that next week?
Yeah, it is next week.
I will see it once in theaters, and that will probably be my viewing.
I thought Joker came out in October also.
I thought it was next week. I was wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. Like I said, been wrong week. We're just giving bad boobs. Let's go back to what we do best in Marvel instead of talking
October
about
4th,
DC.
2024.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Because that's the day I get home from a conference, and I'm probably not.
Yeah. I'm all over the
definitely
place.
not
What can
going
I
that
say? All right, so let us continue on with what Brent made me laugh about with his comment. Well, no, we're not there yet. We're actually going to talk about something a little more positive before we get into some chuckles with some more casting for the Vision series. Picard actor Todd Stashwick has joined Paul Bettany's Marvel Vision series. So Todd Stashwick, who played the role in a key role in season 3 of Picard, has joined the cast of Vision as the follow-up series to WandaVision. On Picard, he played Captain Liam Shaw, who was a foil and obstacle for Admiral Jean-Luc Picard. Again, I praised this. He is a great actor. Did an outstanding part with this role. He is good friends with Terry Matalas, so I'm not surprised that he's bringing him on for this show. No expectation of what his role will be in this one, but the fact that they're already now ramping up casting, they're looking to get sound probably sometime next year. They're looking to probably start filming this.
I don't know his work really. David pointed out before we started that he was in Gotham. Who'd you say he played David the Black Mask?
Black Mask.
Okay, so Richard
Sionis.
Like that's the only thing I can think of.
Here he goes talking about more DC.
Horning in on Travis and Joe's territory. Looking through his IMDb that I just got pulled up, I've seen him in things, but he was just like in a random episode of this or in a random episode of that. I don't know his work, so I'm just gonna trust Sarah Finn in the casting department.
Yeah. Again, I'm excited for casting. What do you think, David, for this as it starting to ramp up? A couple weeks ago we got the confirmation of Ultron returning with James Spader. Now we got this one. Where are we headed with this?
I'm excited to hear more casting news because that is turning it into more and more of a reality. That means we're not backing down. This is not going the ways of another show where people in the cast are asking, "What's that?" So the more we get casting, the more this gets closer.
Was that
and closer.
an Armor Wars dig? Because he went on it after that to say, like, all joking aside, I can't talk about it. It's just none of
All
the
joking aside, he doesn't even know about it.
none of the headlines actually mention that, but like the full quote, he knows what it is.
It's still hilarious, though. It's still hilarious.
It will be hilarious until the day it comes out, proving Snell wrong.
Brent will die on that hill.
I will. It's Blade is the fake movie. Unfortunately, if I had to pick just one, I probably would prefer Blade, but Blade's the movie that's not going anywhere.
The video game's more real than the movie.
There's only one Blade, and there only ever will be.
Yeah, even though there's already been at least two.
You know what? Some movies just keep trying to skate uphill, right?
I'm going to give you that.
Right, Travis? Armor Wars just keeps trying to skate uphill.
I'm going to give you that one.
You keep talking about this thing called Armor Wars. I don't think the thing means what you think it does. All right, so let's
we're getting closer, so that's good.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about when people just don't care anymore. You know, Beau DeMayo. That's all we need to say. Beau DeMayo. So he decided to really just let it all out, and I mean no pun intended when it comes to that, because he puts out on saying that he's going to post a 30-minute video of everything that he's accusing Marvel of doing to him on his OnlyFans.
Right away.
So
you put this, allegedly this exonerates you, and you're putting it behind a paywall? No, it doesn't. Not a good look, buddy. And don't get me wrong, his creative work is brilliant, right? Like, creatively, his work is brilliant. But, man, I don't know. This is dumb. Just dumb.
Yeah. It's not a good look. And doing it behind your OnlyFans paywall, trying to drive up subscriptions, and it just nothing about this seems good. If you have such damning evidence that you can bring either yourself to a higher light or shed something that, hey, Marvel's doing dirty and I was done wrong for whatever reason, then you release that. You show that to the public. You start waving every flag and setting off every firework for people to come look over there. You don't hide it under a paywall that, let's be honest, considering the stuff that has been accused against him, a lot of people aren't going to go to that paywall just because they don't want to see what else is behind that paywall.
Yeah. So here are some of the things that he alleges at this point. And again, these are just according to him and what was said on the 30-minute video. He alleges that his identity as a gay black man was weaponized by Marvel execs and select crew members to undermine him and use the same dog-whistling stereotypes favored by bigots for decades. He alleges that he fought Marvel executives over his desire to adapt storylines from previously published X-Men comic books rather than create brand new stories for the show as they desired, and he called uncollaborative too difficult and too much of a fanboy. Even though the previous one, he didn't go into specifics how they weaponized it. DeMayo alleges that executives painted him as abusive when he declined to have the character of Jubilee make gang signs or paint the sky with plasmids in shapes of the middle finger. He alleges that there are near criminal working conditions for VFX animation artists at Marvel, which we basically have already known. DeMayo alleges that he notified a producer on X-Men 97 that one of our leads is having a potentially exploitive sexual relationship with a PA, and the producer buried his report and informed the individual in question of DeMayo's complaint. That's a no-no by HR, if that is true. Alleges that the same producer of the X-Men 97 repeatedly joked to the crew that he showed DeMayo's thirst traps on Instagram to his underage son, and his kid is wondering, do they need to buy me shirts for Christmas? That's rather strange. alleges that Marvel executive joked in front of DeMayo that they'd hired a young Wesley Snipes to write on Blade. He says, one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is because, as you can see, Wesley Snipes and I look nothing alike. He said the last straw was when he arrived in the production offices of Blade at Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta and was told that someone needed to crack the whip around here. He alleges that on September 6th, he sent his concerns about what he saw as prejudicial conditions on the film to leadership at Marvel. In return, I was removed from the project in the middle of moving to Atlanta for production and had my role on season 2 of X-Men aggressively marginalized. It's going into these whole things, like you said, putting this on your OnlyFans, you have a lawyer. We know he has a lawyer. This is the stuff you usually go through a lawyer and start putting the stuff out there. Why put it on your OnlyFans? That we know someone's just going to subscribe and then put it out there for us, so we don't have to subscribe to your OnlyFans, and of which none of us were planning on doing that anyways, because this is exactly what happened.
I'm just stuck on putting all this behind that, and he claims to have receipts and eyewitnesses that back up his claims, but he doesn't want to dump them out on the internet. He'd prefer to do this all, behind closed doors, basically, to let Marvel and Disney handle it. Why? If these are the people who are causing problems for you, why are you protecting them? The story is not adding up for me. I'm sure there is elements of truth to much of this.
I would agree with that. Mm-hmm.
As soon as you put it behind a paywall, and it doesn't have to be OnlyFans, and I know OnlyFans isn't just about sex work, there's other stuff there too, but let's be honest, we know what it's also associated with predominantly. Mm-hmm. As soon as you do that, you've shot your credibility in the foot in this case. And he should have, if he had done the exact same video and just put it on YouTube, people would be talking about it, I think, very differently.
Yeah. What do you think about this, David?
I agree. Putting it behind a paywall was the absolute wrong decision. Like Brent said, you got a lawyer, use the lawyer. That's what they're for. Hire a PR team who can put this information out piece by piece. That's what these people are for. Putting it behind a paywall just seems like you have something to say. It doesn't hold weight, but you're going to at least get paid for what you have to say, rather than you have an earnest try to get the truth out. A lot of the things that are addressed in here, some of it is stuff we already knew about, the VFX team. Other stuff just doesn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. As he's writing it, the whole situation with the Blade movie, and someone joked that they hired a young Wesley Snipes, but they look nothing alike, but he has the receipts. I'm like, if you've got the receipts, show the receipts. If you say this prominent person in Marvel did this, say that prominent person in Marvel did this, call him out. The thing about the PR department didn't want hot button issues like school shootings, Gaza, abortion, or homosexuality. To me, that is a gray area, because I would like to know the context of why they said not to use that. Were you just trying to shoehorn hot button issues into the show when they said, hey, this doesn't fit the tone and the direction of the season? I feel that that's well within the rights. Not everything has to be controversial for controversial's sake. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't fit the tone of the show, why throw in a Gaza or a school shooting or something like that? So there's a lot of areas that need definitive cleaning up, that throwing something out on OnlyFans, that again, all you need is one person to subscribe, and then after that it's going on the internet.
And to your point, I agree with you. I don't think everything, I'm not going to go out and say everything he's saying is a complete lie, because I don't know. And I agree that there is probably some truths out there with this. And if any of these allegations, especially if they used his sexuality or went against him because he was that, I mean, that's a problem that needs to be addressed along with other things. But how he's handled this since the beginning, when he came out and said that image that he put out there was what got him removed from getting credit in season 2, I think a lot of us with Sam's no, that wasn't the only thing. That one, I'm not saying corporations aren't petty, but that seems to be a long line of, no, that was the last straw for them. And when you claim that, that's when they come after you and saying that. What should have happened is what you're saying, is what a lot of you saying. Don't put this behind a paywall. In fact, don't even say anything. Just saying this will all come out in trial. We'll use this and put it out there at that point. He's doing this, to get the publicity at that point. But it's not many people are buying a lot of this, and he's ruining what his credibility is to get changes made. He's burning bridges, and we're going to say he's burning bridges too with NDAs, what we're going to talk about later in post-credits at that point. A lot of stuff he knows, he's just burning bridges left and right. And when you're trying to win a court battle at this point, this isn't the way you go about doing it. And obviously, I guess he doesn't necessarily care. He wants it all out there, and hopefully something will stick. But it just, I'm curious to who is advising him, because these aren't people that I think are giving him the best advice on how, if he wants to bring changes and get wins for this. I'm kind of scratching my head.
Yeah, I don't think I have any more to add on this one. I just, I'm both interested and not interested in where it comes next. And the whole thing is just, as a fan, it's just a bummer, because creatively the guy was absolutely great at what he was doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No.
If he hadn't released any of this, and if he hadn't have been going down the route that he's been going the last month and a half, I think he would have still had the court of public opinion on his side. Mm-hmm. I think that he is slowly burning away those who are supportive and are like, yes, I'm not a Marvel stan. I'm not a stan for Beau. Like, I want to know the truth. Those people are moving away from their support of him, because it's like, I don't know how much I can trust in what you say with this, between the paywall, between some of the stuff that's been said. And yeah, like you said, this is what got me taken off the credits. That was probably the last straw, not the first.
Mm-hmm. So, but all right. So our last story of the evening, just a quick casting update from another Spider-Man thing. So Brent, take it away.
Yeah, I don't know much about this one, but Jack Houston is going to be on Spider-Man Noir, so it looks like that. I mean, that series, it feels like it's actually going to happen, but we've thought that before. I'm still hoping it does, because I love the concept of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jack Houston playing in X-Pax, Boardwalk Empire, is supposedly playing a bodyguard, according to Daniel RPK. He's saying that based on what his sources are saying, supposedly playing this version of Sandman. So, do we even think? I've heard it back and forth. Is it really called Spider-Man Noir, or is it called Noir? Because I'm hearing more and more that it's not called Spider-Man Noir; it's just called Noir.
I've seen both, and if it's the latter, that's horrible branding. Horrible.
Correct. Agreed.
Yeah. Last I heard was it's just Noir, so I don't know if they're going to add the Spider-Man afterwards. I don't know if they're still trying to figure out the legal part of that. But last I heard was just Noir.
And even kind of bouncing back to, kind of speaking on this in the sense of, Sony being Sony at this point, the rumors with Venom, the ending of Venom 3, there's going to be this connection, Null is supposed to be continuing on in the MCU, and Spider-Man 4 is going to have Venom, Tom Hardy's Venom, and Spider-Man finally meet. It's just I'm not necessarily opposed to them meeting, but I'm also kind of I am opposed to, why are we shoehorning this into Spider-Man 4? I'm more of a idea of why do we need to do this? We've got a good thing going. Why are we trying to force things into that movie?
And maybe it won't feel shoehorned when we actually see it. It'll just kind of depend. Is it going to be like Spider-Man 3, where it felt like having Venom in that movie was a bit much? Or is it going to be, a different movie where it has several villains, but it works? I don't know. Those rumors are interesting to me.
Yeah. But yeah, getting back to Noir at that point, it still says that Lord and Miller are still attached to it, even though we've heard recent rumors that they're not going to be with Sony much longer, or they're parted ways with Sony. I don't know.
I thought they had already left, but I'm hoping they're at least with them through Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, again, and more casting updates for Spider Noir, whatever we're calling it, is I'm intrigued by it. It'll be interesting to see as they start getting underway with filming is going to be good. But again, continuing on with it. So, all right. So, yes. So that is all the news. Again, we take a week off. We get gifted with all this lovely news. So let us take our final ad break for the evening before we get into listener feedback and Fact or Fiction. So, as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on in Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. They can be a bit loud, so give it a 3 count before they come on. 2, 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right, so questions, feedback for tonight. We just got one from Omari Daniels. What we got from him this week, Brent?
We had a couple others that came in too. I just hadn't put them in the document.
Oh, okay. So there we go.
So Omari, Venom has been the most profitable of these Sony movies. If this is the last Venom movie, where do you see the Sony universe going from here? Can it even continue without a Spider-Man showing up? Big Wheel 6, Madam Web 5 will only get them so far.
Very, very cheeky with the Big Wheel 6.
No joke. Clever for that.
What do you think, David?
I think that Sony is going to continue to try and pull seemingly obscure, and I say obscure as in obscure to the general audience, but they're going to continue to try and pull a couple more obscure characters until they can figure out another Spider-Man property. I don't think they're going to go back to the Madam Web front, thankfully. I would hate to be the person in charge of ADR on a second Madam Web. I mean, the bar was set low, but the expectations would be set high.
Right.
But I do think that they're probably going to run through about 3 or 4 more low-level villains or characters before returning back to the Spider-Man well.
What about you, Brent?
The more they make these movies without an actual Spider-Man in them, the more I think the speculation is true, and I've had this speculation before as well, that whatever deal they have with Marvel includes this clause that nobody has actually seen or surfaced yet, that they can't use Spider-Man in live action as long as Spider-Man is in the MCU.
And my question is, if that is true, why can't they just say it until we can finally get on instead of like we then can understand what Sony does at this point?
Because then we'd be like, okay, you're doing your best with what you have. And the thing is, they make these movies because they have to make X number of Spider-Man movies. Like they have to have one in production within like 5 years or whatever. I don't remember the exact terms, but within X number of years, they have to have a Spider-Man movie in production, and within 2 or 3 more years after that, it has to be released to the public. Do the ones that they're releasing with Marvel Studios, with Disney, not count towards that? Okay, maybe they don't. You don't need all of these, though. The Venom ones alone would have kept them fulfilling that requirement. And they, frankly, even though we don't exactly love the Venom movies, they are successful movies. They have been successful. The general audience did enjoy them. And they wouldn't get the grief that they're getting from Morbius and Madam Web and, well, the Craven trailers anyway. Like, they don't have... They're just setting themselves up to fail with these own goals and some of these other ones.
And I think with that idea, I agree with you. Venom has been successful with general audience. Jokes aside, at that point, they are fun. It's a single watch, maybe another watch if I'm bored one day. But they did prove something that they could do a Venom movie without Spider-Man. Yeah. That they did it, and I applaud them for it. They were able to get that done successfully. Critically, that's a whole other point, and whether it did what we wanted, another debate. To your point, what we said, if it's they can't do live action Spider-Man, that's people. Well, you should do Miles. They may not be able to do Miles either. I don't know what about it.
That would be a live action Spider-Man.
Yeah,
so
and so if they
did Peter, is it live action Miles?
But I think the other problem they have is they could do it again. I'm judging before seeing it. I try not to, but it's just right now that Craven movie, along the lines of with this movie, look at who's writing it. Look at the quality of what they're getting with it. These aren't necessarily, they don't have to get the best writers, but the ones they're getting, I'm sorry, these aren't the necessary people that are going to be like, I'm already bringing low expectations because I've seen their past, you know? And I think that's a problem. If they want to put out, like, they are doing damage to the Marvel brand with these movies. I'm just going to be blunt about it.
I guess to answer Amari's question, they're going to have a series of Jackpot and Black Cat movies. You know, they've got the little team-up books that they've been doing lately, which what I've read of them I have not been impressed by, but there you are. They're going to do some of those.
Yeah.
All right, next up from Anthony. With Wiccan all but confirmed for appearing in Agatha all along, when do you think his brother will next make an appearance? The Vision show, maybe? Worth noting, one, after the first Agatha trailer, I saw people saying news came out and it was confirmed that he was Wiccan. Recently, there was an Agatha commercial that the closed captions for it said that he was Wiccan.
Oh, it did? Okay.
And so I'm like,
okay, I missed that one.
He's Wiccan. Like,
okay.
we pretty much know it at this point.
Yeah.
Unless that closed caption was wrong or something. I did not see the closed caption myself.
Neither
because
did I.
I'm not trying to see any more footage from that show. You know, we get to watch it in a week. But I regardless, when's his brother? When is Speed going to show up?
I don't know. That one.
I think the Vision show actually makes a lot of sense because it was it the unofficial Marvel or the official Marvel podcast, the disappointing Marvel podcast, whatever it's called. Was it there where they said
I listened for the first like 5 minutes and cut out?
Where they said it's a trilogy that they were looking at kind of WandaVision, Agatha, and the Vision. Like if that's the case, it would almost be appropriate to be there. As long as you know that one is Vision show. We don't want to take too much away from them. So I guess what I'll say for real is a real appearance on the Vision show, first appearance, credit scene in one of the Agatha episodes, probably the final one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think full stop will be on Vision, but yeah, you gotta, the fact that we know that she has two kids. If you're going to introduce one, you got to at least allude to the other. Even if we don't see him in the full spotlight, we need some kind of where is he at, what's going on, and that will be in Agatha. But then we'll get full stop on him and once it comes to Vision.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally see it. I think I'm more intrigued to see, like, you knew she created her twins in WandaVision. We did see a reality which her twins were real, from what we understand. Where's this one coming from?
Yeah, that's the reality where they sang that creepy ice cream song, though. We don't want those ones. we don't want those. Those ones. Not my twins.
Creepy kid moments.
Nope.
The children of the corn, ladies and gentlemen, the children of the corn. So, all right, what do we got next?
Let's see. Joshua, I have a question for the podcast. Not sure if you guys have touched on it, but do you think Marvel will introduce the Maker in either of the next two Avengers movies? If so, I think Miles Teller could play him very well.
I think that would be poetic if Miles Teller plays him.
I think the Maker is an awesome character. If you don't know, the Maker is an evil Reed Richards from the Ultimate line of comics. The original Ultimate line. I mean, he's in the current one, but comes out of the original Ultimate Universe. And I tell you, evil Reed Richards with just absolutely gnarly helmet he wears on his head all the time. You know, I don't know why he wears that thing, but it looks awesome, so I don't care. Just a great character.
What about you, David?
I'd be all for that. Like I said, give me the helmet, give me the suit. Like I'm all for that. I think would be a great callback. I think Miles Teller has, where he has grown as an actor, would also fit that role perfectly. So you could still have the Reed Richards connection, but where he has grown as a person and an actor, I think it would just fit seamlessly. So I would be all for that.
Yeah, I'd be all for it. When we haven't even properly introduced an actual Reed Richards into it, I think it's definitely on the table. I just don't think yet. I think it'd be very much on the table. But I can definitely plug is, what's been going on in Marvel Comics with the restart of the Ultimate Universe. Ultimates 4, wow. That's all I will say. If you want to see what's been going on and what happened to the Fantastic, that is Jonathan Hickman. I've always been impressed, but man, that is a very impressive what she decided to do with the Fantastic Four there. Very, very tragic.
I still haven't read the Ultimate X-Men comic yet, but Ultimate Black Panther and Ultimate Spider-Man, chef's kiss. Absolutely incredible.
Agreed.
Both of those.
Very, very much. It's nice to see, be surprised by something and saying, oh, we're bringing this bell. Yeah, you bring some new stuff to the table. I'd be very surprised at your thoughts on Ultimate X-Men. It's definitely going to be a stretch, I think, for you.
It was going to be sooner, and then Mystic came out, so it's a little delayed, but I'll get there. I will get there.
You will.
Because other stuff is going to come out, and I'm just going to sit on it until I'm done with Mystic, with a couple exceptions. Ultimate Spider-Man, I will read the day it comes out. We did get a question that just came in the chat a couple minutes ago, so I think we should hit that too.
Yes.
From Travis Mitchell, how's it going, guys? In Homecoming, Matt Gargan's Scorpion wants Peter's identity. In No Way Home, the symbiote is left behind. The Marvel Knights run has Gargan become Venom, which could work. The idea of an actual villainous Venom for Spider-Man before Eddie shows up and becomes a good Venom could be interesting. I've thought about that. I wonder if even if let's say like Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock, and that symbiote don't show up, like the main Venom symbiote don't show up in the MCU proper in the Sacred Timeline. There is a set piece of that Venom symbiote still back, right? I mean, we don't know about the bar scene in Venom.
Yeah.
That may ruin it, but as far as what has officially been released, because you never know what they're going to put in a trailer and not actually have in the movie. So Correct. As far as release material, there's a piece of it behind. I could see them going the Scorpion route as a way to give them, one, Scorpion hasn't been in the live action movies yet. Two, it lets them have Venom. And three, we can see Tom Holland interact with the symbiote, something we haven't done yet. So I wouldn't rule it out.
I mean, the Matt Gargan version of Venom was definitely on my lower tier of iterations of it, but it would be intriguing to see what they do with it if they bring it to the MCU. That would be it, that they could probably make me possibly like it, but it'd be one of those interesting ones just because a lot of people do forget that Gargan was Venom at one point. So,
yeah, it'd be an interesting bring over. I don't see it happening. I wouldn't put it too far past him because, like I said, Sony's running out of people to use for their movie properties, so they very well could try and go that route. I just really hope that they abandon using more symbiotes and using more people turned into symbiotes because, like I said, we're kind of running the well dry on that.
Yeah, so good questions. Good question. Thank you all for submitting them at that point. And so fact or fictions from a couple weeks ago. Let me pull those up. If my Twitter actually wants to work, it is accessible at points. All right, number one. Sam will say, this is Brent's favorite of all his fact or fictions. Sam will say, on your left to Joaquin in Captain America Brave New World. 59% said fact, 41% said fiction. Do we ever get what Mr. Hines felt about that?
I don't think so. I'm disappointed. He must not have heard that one yet.
By the end of season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, we will have seen at least 2 other not currently confirmed characters from
recent rumors are giving me good.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I saw rumors that said Marvel wants every one of them back. Yes, even him. And I'm like, you know what? I hope it's true. Yes. I hope it's true because 1, I get this right, and 2, that's how I win.
Everyone wins. 87% said fact, 13% said fiction. And then last, Superman will move its release date to avoid being stuck between Jurassic World Rebirth and Fantastic Four First Steps. 20% said fact, 80% said fiction.
Cool. I forgot about that one.
It's been a bit. All right, David, as the guest this week, you had some burn and factor fictions. So what you got?
Yeah, I had a couple in the tank, so luckily when you texted me earlier, I was like, yeah, I got a couple here. So, fact fiction number one, we will get a Blade update before we get an Armor Wars update.
Fact.
I mean, does a Blade update count every time they switch directors or writers or whatever?
No, it also will count when someone leaves the project again.
Those are updates. Yeah, fact. Those are updates. So yeah.
What about you, David? You a fact too?
I'm a fact on that one only because even though neither movie has moved out of purgatory, at least with Blade, we get news about why it's still in purgatory. You at least know we lost director, we lost writer, we lost this, we lost that.
No one's winning like Charlie Sheen is, right?
Yeah. So at least we know. Fact fiction number two, Venom will include a scene that ties other Sony Marvel properties into it. So that could either be post-credits or during the movie itself.
I have a feeling this has to do with Spider-Man.
Okay, say it again.
Venom will include a scene that ties other Sony Marvel properties into it.
Just won't die.
Like
That could be Madam Web. That could be Craven. That could be anything that is Sony in affiliation with Marvel.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Fact.
It's music, but it sucks.
I've actually seen that clip. That is one of my favorite Deadpool clips.
It really
If you haven't
is.
Seen it. Just Google Deadpool Fred Savage and enjoy.
Oh man, it's so true.
I mean, it's got to be. There's no way that they're not.
I just want to see them bring back Michael Keaton just for the paycheck so he can do. I have a feeling this is doing with Spider-Man.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, what you got as your last one?
My last one is Marvel will release one more Venom trailer that includes a huge spoiler.
You're just capitalizing, and Sony's going to
Marvel
do something
will
Sony.
release it?
Okay,
Marvel will
Sony.
release it?
Sony and
I mean, Marvel totally would, but they're not releasing these trailers. Yeah, fact.
Yeah, you know.
They got to
will.
announce tickets are on sale.
I know. Yeah, apparently they botched that one with this. It's a month. It's less than a month away, and they still haven't put on tickets on sale. Way
I
to
mean,
go,
at least
Sony.
not at my theater. I didn't look anywhere else, but
Yeah, I'll
my
look
my
lower.
theater typically has those right away. So
Yeah,
unless
I-
it's Avengers Endgame and they're under construction at that time.
yeah, they called that the final trailer, but I know that there's going to be some type of commercial spot or something that's going to have the big spoiler drop. I mean, it's
yeah. Month and a half away. They still haven't released tickets. Yeah, I still don't have tickets yet. Good job, Sony.
yeah, nope. I'm on Internet Movie Database, and there's no buy tickets option. So.
Travis Mitchell saying, I think you end Venom 3 with a portal opening, animated Gwen saying they need help, a live action hand reaching in, grabbing Eddie, making him animated, the spider forming on his chest. No, don't do that. I'd just be like, why are you just literally spitting on fans' face? Like, why are you doing this to us?
I don't know how I feel about that. That's interesting.
I mean, don't get you wrong. That is quite creative, Travis.
I don't hate it. I don't want it.
I'm gonna
I
say
don't hate
I don't hate it, but I definitely don't like it.
Yeah, no.
Interesting.
Nope, I've decided I hate it. Nope. Nope, I'm pulling a Tombstone. Nope, I've decided I hate it. But I applaud you for the creativity of that one, Travis. That's it's Spot already entered the Venom universe, so it's kind of set up. Stop it! Stop!
I'd rather have
Stop.
Mrs. Chin.
Oh god.
You're God, Travis. Why'd you have to remember it's that? Why? Sony's gonna be Sony. They'd do it too. They would totally do it. So, all right. Well, we will. I will post those Sunday afternoon. Let your voices be heard. And again, we're putting one more week pause on Comic Book Club because Chris is a bad host. So
It's fine. It's been a year, so it's been a year.
been a year. We will. I will promise because I am looking forward to rereading Young Avengers. And and thank you, David, for doing homework that I should have been more clear that you didn't have to.
It was in the show notes.
It was in the show notes. I just left it there. So, all right. Well, again, thank you, David, for being on standby in case Brent couldn't make it, and thank you,
Yes,
Brent,
thank you, David.
for being able to make it.
Yes, thank you, David.
So,
Always a pleasure.
and tell people how they can follow you and plug your show.
You can follow me on all socials at The Phantom. It's listed below. I'm most active on Twitter and Instagram, but I am on almost every social media. And other than popping in here every now and then and talking on the Twitter, you can find me monthly on a wrestling show called The Gimmick, where me, Travis Snell, and S Bubs, who is normally in the chat here. We talk all things wrestling and wrestling related. Again, it's once a month show, and we just go in and just nerd out to some good old wrestling, past and present. So if you're a fan of wrestling, stop on by, say hi. We'd love to chat with you.
Yes, definitely check it out. And Brent.
Brentech Prime on the socials, and Twitter's the one I'm at most of, but I'm on all of them too.
Yeah, always lurking in the shadows, right?
Always.
All right, yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balga. You can follow my other show, World's Finest True Believers, at Finest Believers. You can follow this. You can email us on Twitter. You can just email us at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, ask questions. DMs are open across the board. Continue to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. And as always, want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. Use that code MarvelGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order. And thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining us in the chat. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, so we were batting around a number of topics, possibilities, but this one was just kind of interesting just because we've always heard rumors about it. Well, we'll kind of talk about it. The supposed original plan for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So this kind of started making the rounds today, and this has come Scooper, my time to shine again. This is, they are, they have some success. They have some swings. They have some misses. But this was interesting. I thought it'd be kind of interesting to talk about what could have been with assuming Scott Derrickson was still on board. This was supposedly the plan for this movie. Says, as some of you know, I have access to early information through concept art. So here's what the original plan for the Multiverse of Madness was. The movie initially started with Wanda as a hero and not a villain. The original antagonist was Nightmare, and Wanda was supposed to help Doctor Strange reach and defeat him. They continue on and say, however, Feige and Waldron decided to change the storyline. Waldron, who hadn't even watched WandaVision, really wanted to make Wanda the antagonist. This led to a complete overhaul of the plot. At one point, Chthon was also going to play a significant role in the film, but Feige wanted to save that for later, possibly a Scarlet Witch movie. And now there's been continued rumors of a Scarlet Witch project being batted around at Marvel Studios. So what do y'all think of this idea of what could have been under the direction of Scott Derrickson?
I mean, it would have been fun. It would have been a good movie, but I liked Multiverse of Madness as it was. And while I don't like that Waldron didn't watch WandaVision, I think that's... Frankly, I think that's borderline negligent. I still think it lines up enough with WandaVision that it doesn't bother me. Like, if I'm watching Multiverse of Madness right after WandaVision, I can connect the dots. I don't need them to show me every single possible step in between, especially with that credit scene that we got at the end of WandaVision. Like, her with the Darkhold, like, that, and, hearing her kids through the multiverse, to me, it was still set up enough.
What about you, David?
I agree. I liked the way that they did with Wanda in Multiverse of Madness, so I'm not mad at it. I'm not thinking, oh, what we could have had. Like again, they did great with her in that, and it led to even more that they can do with her. It's intriguing, the possibilities. It's intriguing for her to have that different role, but I'm not mad at the direction that they went instead.
Yeah, Beau DeMayo again dropping more tea on this one. Kind of according to him, what he supposedly knew, the OG draft did her justice. Wanda was with Strange, recovering from after Westview, feeling bad about what she did. She helps him, Wong, and Chavez, who she tutors, to beat Nightmare across the multiverse, where she also sees variants happy with her kids. I have always wondered, because when Derrickson left the project, it was over, the standard creative differences, but because he wanted to turn Doctor Strange to, lean more into the true horror elements of, bringing on Nightmare, it's going to be more horror element. But then they follow up by bringing on Sam Raimi, who has always been known for horror. Mm-hmm. And I was like, if Sam Raimi was, infamously known for that, Derrickson was going to go even harder than that. I was very intrigued by that. Was one of the big sticking points with it. But I think that I've always been kind of two minds of Wanda being the antagonist. I think I would have liked to have seen her try to make amends for what happened at Westview, but I do understand like her whole focus of getting her kids back. I do kind of see that flip, but I think in the end, even at the end of what this project might have been, I still could see her leaning towards somewhat being, I don't know if I can continue being this good if everything I've ever loved and tried to fight for has been taken from me. I think there would be an eventual movement of what we saw in Multiverse of Madness, but I also have always thought that it was a very quick spin to her just go completely down the path of darkness.
Yeah.
But again, they used the Darkhold saying it corrupts you, so she wasn't totally within her own senses. So I get the MacGuffin on that one. So, but intriguing nonetheless. So good to hear about that. But we will. Hey, guess what, guys? Next week, Agatha All Along. 2 episodes. We'll be breaking them down next week. So we will see what the first follow up to WandaVision's about. So check that out, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.